Good Monday morning here at Screener's Corner with daily technical update on the 26th of February. Let's just quickly recap Nvidia, which was the talk of the town last week. Market opened higher, or price move opened higher, spiked higher, but we only closed around 0.3% higher Friday. So sellers, they took control most of the session, which could indicate that the buying spree has come to an end. It's not 100% decided just yet, but we have the RSI here showing some massive divergence. And if we just quickly add the volume, we can see the volume was almost as big as or large as the day before after the earnings. So sellers really are in control there. What was also interesting was that the S&P 500 actually spiked higher and touched the 5,110 resistance, not resistance target that I had mentioned a few times, 5,110. You can see that was the 200% of this handle on the cup and handle here. So we could be in for a little bit of a toppish move. We can also see the RSI still quite strong divergence or massive divergence there. So there is a warning of a trend exhaustion, but I just still need a top and reversal indicator. The Nasdaq 100 closed lower Friday. Couldn't really follow through, and also quite massive divergence there on the RSI. So we could maybe be in for a little bit of a correction. And I mentioned a couple of times, I believe that we should see a top in the market end February, early March. So maybe it's warming up to that. It's not unlikely we can get a little bit higher move, but we are in a toppish position. However, it's probably only short term, and then buyers can come back in. In the European session, we had EUROSTOXX 50, you can see here, closed higher Friday, so it actually looks quite okay. A little bit of divergence on the RSI, but it's still, uptrend is still supported by indicators. I would say we haven't broken the rising trend line here, so I would say we could see a little bit higher levels in Europe for 1,900 EUROSTOXX 50. DAX also quite strong after gapping higher, and that's the gap you don't want to see being closed if we should keep up with the DAX index there. There's still potential to move higher to above 17,500. However, RSI is showing some weakness here, so maybe a little bit of exhaustive move. But on the weekly, there's still upside potential. No RSI divergence, meaning no warning. So it could just be a short-term correction if we get one. And AX Amsterdam seems to be doing just that. We had a doji here on the 22nd, on the 23rd. Friday we had a bearish market. If it does break this this rising trend line here, this is just more guideline. It's not really that important. The really important level here is the gap that you don't want to see being closed if you are long AX. So keep an eye on that, but we could see a little bit of a setback towards the gap area. Belgium market, on the other hand, fairly boring, been trading more or less sideways for the past couple of weeks. It is above the falling trend line, it is above the cloud, but it can't really get momentum up to 37.42. CAC 40, on the other hand, has been quite strong. Lately, lifted by particularly LVMH, luxury goods, so really strong move there towards 8,000. There is potential to that, but we have RSI divergence there. This peak here is lower than this peak over here, so also a little bit stressed, but still trust the trend is still there. Swiss markets also higher, could move to the 11,600 level, but as you can see, also RSI divergence right there, so indicating of an exhaustion on trend. But if it does break above, I still believe we could see it moving to 11,600. FX market has been fairly boring lately, especially the euro dollar. It's been a little bit directional. Yeah, we had a bounce, we had a spike up there, and now here this morning seems to trying to have another go towards the 109 key resistance level. And why is that the key resistance level? Because several reasons. If it takes out that level, well, then it has really established an uptrend. And I also believe that RSI will then close above 60 threshold, which will be key for further upside. If it gets rejected at both again, well, then it's probably resuming downtrend. However, as you can see here, 100 moving average coming up. It's about to cross over the 200 moving average. 55 is above it, but it's rising. So I think we could see euro dollar moving higher, at least have a go at the 109 resistance level. Cable 127 is the key level here. Yeah, 126.95, but 127 is spiked a little bit above the late last week. I needed to see a close above and up, close above the cloud. Then we could see a move towards 127.75, 128 in that area. Then I think we have turned this little downtrend here, and also likely to be confirmed by the RSI above 60. Dollar yen has been struggling for upside momentum, but maybe we could have it today, trying again at least. It needs to not close below 149.75. That is key, but I think we will see it towards 152. Euro yen, on the other hand, has been fairly strong, spiked to the 138 projection of this little correction here, but I think we will see it up to 164.20, 30 level, which is the previous peak, and also this 1618 projection of this little correction there. So fairly strong on the euro yen, I would say. Aussie yen also above. Well, it touched 90 just about, and then got beaten back down a little bit. I think we could see a little bit of correction lower towards the 98 before next upwards move. We are in an uptrend. There's no divergence, so we should move higher on Aussie yen. Sterling yen also taking higher towards 191 and 3/4, 192 possibly. No divergence on the RSI, meaning that it is nicely in balance. Nicely balanced, so we should see higher on sterling yen. On the dollar Canada, was to notice, dollar Canada bounced off this low rising trend line here, closed above the 200 moving average. I think we'll see it ticking higher here in the coming days. RSI is showing positive sentiment, supporting the upwards trending market in what could be a rising wedge, but let's see if it does break above the either of these trend lines. Then it's not a rising wedge, but it's just a rising trend. Aussie dollar couldn't really get back above 66, and I think we will see the downtrend to resume, and it will be confirmed if we move back below 65.20. Finally, let's have a look at dollar Swiss. I think dollar Swiss slowly will try to tick higher here, but if it takes out the spike down here from last week at 87.40, and then I think we'll see a downtrend kicking in, but positive RSI, and I think this is just a correction. I think we'll move higher in dollar Swiss. Finally, on the dollar index, a little bit indecisive, like your dollar. It's but to the heavier side. But the RSI is in a positive mode. So let's see. I would not call it direction. We are above the cloud. We are above the 200 moving average, but the 100 is coming down here. So there's a little bit downwards pressure. Gold. Closed just spot on 2035 Friday. It did close above the cloud, but it seems like it's struggling really for getting upside momentum. RSI is still negative, rejected at 60. I want to see RSI above 60 before I actually call that that gold is back in a bullish trend. And then we have the 2065 strong resistance up there that should be observed. Silver, a little bit lower this morning, but it is below at 23.5, and the big test will be 24. Rejected at the 200, around the 200 moving average. 55 coming down actually formed a death cross here, but it's really indecisive. Copper, well, fluctuating between 370, 365 and up to around 390 is level, and that seems to be the general picture here lately. It's then some good news, and then they can't really hold up, and then we are just sliding lower. On the energy market, we have the WTI could be testing the 75.5 support area here. Then we will see if it breaks below. Then we will see a test of the lower rising trend line. If it does closes below the lower rising trend line there, then we could see further selling pressure. However, we have the 55 moving average coming up here, giving some support, but we have the 100 coming down here, and it crossed over the 200, which is slightly rising. So again, as I mentioned before, or alluded to, we could be being caught range bound in this area here between 75 and 79 for quite some time under WTI. Brent oil, more or less the same picture, didn't even touch the 84, 75, 80 resistance level, could test the 80 spot 72 support, minor support there, and the test of the lower rising trend line and the 55 moving average. But again, also here we could be moving sideways. Finally, let's have a look at the US 10-year yields. Interesting development here the past few days. Couldn't get above the 435, just touched it a little bit and then sold off. We could see a test of 420, 419. If it does break below, well, then we are looking at 411, 410. But then we have the 55 moving average giving some support. So it's a little bit under pressure, but the RSI is showing us that we should move higher. But then we have the 100 moving average coming down here. So it's really, it could be caught range bound between the 420, maybe a little bit lower, 415 maybe, and up to around 435. And just quickly looking at the actual treasury note, the future that bounced off 109.832 right there, which is quite interesting. And we could see a little bit of bounce up to to test the 200 moving average. We also have 21 coming down there, but you can see the trend seems to be underlying trend seems to be down. All right, that's all for today. After a busy week last week, I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a nice day and happy trading.